Welcome, my most gracious guests, to the Flesh Laboratories. Here, I sculpt and craft the most exquisite of flesh creations for you to purchase. Perhaps I can introduce you to my latest creation, a combination of two of the most exquisite specimens the galaxy has to offer. I combine them together to make one. They are Blushing Noise Marie and Nurgle Snurgle, and I've combined them to make them into the Chaos Divided podcast. Now listen to me, and perhaps we can talk about a prize.
Welcome to Chaos Divided, your weekly dose of Wholesome Hammer. If you're a fan of what we do, we hope you'll subscribe and follow us along, and if you'd like to support us directly, you can find us on patreon.com/Chaos Divided 40k. This week, we're getting into the good, the bad, and the ugly of the Winter Balance Dataslate. And it wouldn't be an episode of Chaos Divided without a quote. And who better to kick us off with this Dataslate than the Dark Eldar, with every weapon your prey wields can be turned against them, given sufficient application of wit. And that was Archon Drakarth Uskul from the 7th edition Dark Eldar Codex.
I hope you got that right, or else you're going to get hunted by the Dark Eldar themselves.
Good, I'll take them. Hunt me down, turn me into furniture.
What happens if they take you, you go to their fighting pits, and then you're fighting Lucius? What do? Do you become Lucius?
Ooh, probably.
Because you enjoy killing him?
Or I would know, Lucius would just kill me. I don't think I can kill Lucius in hand-to-hand combat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think I
would.
For
clarity.
Just for... just for... The odds of me winning that involve Lucius falling on his own swords and impaling himself.
And you're just standing there like, that just happened. I did it.
There's always a chance of...
What?
Right? But yeah, we've got the new winter data slate. Mm-hmm. There's some juicy changes in there. How are you feeling about it?
Well, just in time for the Nova Scotia snow apocalypse that we're getting right now, so
right,
just in time. I think it's quite clear how I feel about them, especially with what happened with the demons. I feel pretty good.
I feel like demons are back.
Yeah, they're the points decrease was definitely a nice little sugar on top. Loved it.
Well, and I think the changes to their rule allows them to actually price demons where they need to be, because they don't have to worry as much about the ally side of it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, you can't bring Shalaxi as an ally anymore. There just isn't enough points.
No. And then maybe if they start seeing Shalaxi less on the table, they'll decrease the points again.
Right, because 450 is a little hefty.
Yeah.
But the changeling, now you got to bring horrors with you, and who wants horrors? Sorry, Zinch players. Sorry, not sorry.
Just lower your hands for all those who raised them.
No, and even but honestly, makes me kind of think maybe a few demonettes with some of these reduced price characters could be a little fun. Some seekers, maybe demonettes and seekers running around.
There's so many choices now. Like, it was no longer just like, oh, 1 or 2 units got a points decrease. It was like almost across the board. Yeah. Although the ugly part was the Nurglings went up.
You know what? Nurglings are objective machines. You can't. You knew it was coming.
What, with their OC 0? Oh,
yeah, they can still do secondaries.
I know.
And you can deep strike them 3 inches. They're machines. Can you believe that Blood Crushers went down though? That seems
yes
silly.
I emailed James Workshop myself and said, I know they're hard to get in stock, but they got to come down in price. Trust me on this, James.
You were like, hey, these units are just ridiculously powerful. They're just like killing machines. And he was like, oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, we should lower the points on that. We should make it. And they're also, they're fast too. Even better. We'll make them so you can have more of them.
Yeah, yeah. And he's like, I'll think about the skull cannons for the next Dataslate. I can't have them all.
But I think the big news is Custodes and Dark Eldar are, well, Drukhari were never back, but Custodes are back, and Dark Eldar are...
I have to disagree, Laura. That's not the biggest news of it all. We all know what the big news and the big winners of this actual Dataslate was. And that is the Great Unclean Ones. Bam! Coming out Kool-Aid style through the wall. They are down 20 points apiece. From 250 to 230, including my boy Rodicus. Let's go. Their toughness stacks. Let's go. Strength 8 weapons actually means something. Let's go.
Nurgle Snurgle is hyped. Might actually have to get some games in on this Dataslate now.
I know. I've been waiting for this Dataslate.
That's fair. No, you know what? That's huge. Because now running 3 Great Unclean Ones both like actually makes sense. We were talking about it earlier. Angron, make him tough 8. Beat him to death with Great Unclean Ones.
Yep.
Lionel Johnson, beat him to death with Great Unclean Ones. Rabuda, same thing. Tough 2 Terminators? Screw them. Everything's gonna kill that.
Speaking of like finding the narratives in games, like in that last episode that we did, what do you think I'm gonna find in my games?
We're gonna find a bunch of weak, plague-ridden opponents.
What's gonna happen if I make like just a Space Marine? Tough 1?
Tough 1.
Nurglings are gonna hunt.
They're gonna have glass ankles at that point. The Nurglings are gonna get them.
With all their attacks. Teeth and claws. Mother averse.
No, even think about like being able to bring down like orcs down in toughness. That's the thing that kind of carries them.
Oh my!
Imagine if you made Nosrog a tough 7. I think minimum is 1.
Okay, for toughness. Okay.
Yeah.
But still. Oh my goodness.
But think of that game with you and Tanya. Imagine if Mozrog had been tough 7 and you were wounding him on 3s. That strength 8 sword makes a little more sense now.
You hear that, Tanya? We need a redo.
Rematch. No,
but like, how am I gonna? Okay, but realistically, how am I gonna move 3 Great Unclean Ones together? Just like ballerina across the table together?
Well, what's the range on that ability? 12 inches?
Oh, is it 12? Oh, maybe it is 12 inches. That's actually huge.
Yeah, you just have to be like vaguely. You can just like lower it down, and then like Be'lakor comes in and beats them to death. Who cares at that point?
That's truly a trilobe of fear. Watch out. Watch out.
3 Great Unclean Ones that no one else can kill, and then you just
oh my god,
beat them around doing whatever they need to do.
I'm into it.
Just like, oh, I put 3 Land Raiders down around the board, just like beat through those, except they also have a 4-up invuln and also have feel no pains and also
and a strength 8 sword. Oh, that's gonna do nothing. Oh, just wait and see.
Even the vomit's gonna do stuff. Well, even with that many Great Unclean Ones, the Plague Bears are gonna generally have feel no pains again because they're gonna be always near one.
Oh, okay. I'm pumped.
Are you pumped to play a game?
I think so. Wow, 2024 is our year.
Did I become a hobbyist and did you just become a player? Did we just switch like our whole Warhammer experience?
Yeah, because now that I have the job, I haven't really hobbied much, and you're hobbying so much, and now my army is good. And
Right.
your army kind of took a hit.
You know what? My army didn't take a hit because I did not play CSM that way.
Oh, okay, it's true. But CSM did take a little ugly hit.
Yes, you know what? Before we get into that hit,
yes.
I want to talk about Eldar. I'm so excited!
Sorry. I couldn't wait till like halfway through the show to talk about demons. I had to get that out.
I know, I put that that's like 7 notes down. No, we started with demons. But honestly,
7. Nice.
Eldar. I gotta take care of my Nurgle fans. Honestly, okay. You know what the part that I was so stoked about? The Incarn.
Oh.
All of that nonsense. Is over.
Why did it take so long?
And I feel like, like the Incarn, you know what? You can say what you want, Eldar players. The Incarn still has play. Just, it's not as ridiculous anymore. And, I honestly think this is going to open up so much more play from every other faction, because you don't have to be like, oh, how does my list beat Eldar now?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. It's kind of like we were talking right before recording about being the type of employee that when you give 110% all the time and then you give 98%, it's like, oh, there's something wrong. It's kind of what happened to the Incarn. It's like they gave like 150% and then would drop to 97. They're like, nerfed. Don't take.
Right. They're on like a performance plan now, and you're like, but there's still like other factions would still love to have an Incarn.
Oh my god, yeah. I'll take a Nurgle one, thank you.
Right? Can you imagine
one Nurgle Incarn, please?
Imagine if a Beast of Nurgle was like, or there was like a named Beast of Nurgle or something that was tough 10, half damage, strength 14, had a giant flamer on it, it was 300 points. You'd be all over that.
What do you think his name would be?
Sloppy. I don't know. the Goo Karn.
The Goo Karn.
And got to just like jump around even only once a turn. No, every other faction would like love to have the Incarn as it stands now. And I know there's Eldar players that are like, oh, this is garbage. It's not even worth working anymore.
They like put their Incarn in a closed case. I can't use you anymore. Don't look at me.
I can't even look at you anymore. This is what it's like when the Eldar index is so strong. You're like, oh, this very powerful data sheet is like not even worth looking at because it's been over nerfed and isn't redonkulous.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, Dark Eldar.
No, like Eldar, I think honestly the big news there is that they aren't going to be dominating anymore. I think they're still going to be a top faction. Yeah. But maybe top 5, top 10, not top 1. And I think the big
out of 10 or like all 10 being Eldar, yeah, that was a great time.
Yeah, well, I think those days are over, and I think that's going to let so many other factions come up. And actually, I'm really excited for Dark Eldar. The only thing that I'm a little scared of, have you played Dark Eldar this edition?
No.
They can pump out a ton of bodies at their current points price, and they didn't go up with this new detachment rule. There's just a lot of them.
So did they just go horde?
Well, they kind of can, because like if the Court of the Archon is 4 models, and Archon is a model, and then I think you can put Archons with Incubi now. So like there's a lot of like there's gonna be like 10-15 blocks of elves running around. They're easy to kill, but they're also now going to be murdering you with like, well, maybe not you because you're but everyone else is going to just be getting like deaded. They have a ton of like anti-infantry 2+ weapons, so like anyone that has infantry is just like their days are numbered.
There's a lot of that around, especially with characters.
Yeah, and they have like access to precision, and I think the thing that they were missing is they didn't have melee. This new detachment gives them melee. So now like they don't have to just play the like shoot you from afar and wait to die. They can actually like interact. It's gonna be interesting to see. I'm excited to see some Dark Eldar. They're a cool faction. There's not a ton of Dark Eldar players, so I don't think they're going to be super dominant.
Even when they were like really, really good, there wasn't like as much like Eldar. So
yeah,
who knows?
I think what you'll probably see is the what is that called when Eldar players bring like Eldar and Drukhari and like Harlequins.
Asking the wrong person.
I know me. You might see more of them move back to just being actual Drukhari. But yeah, I'm excited to see Custodes come back. And I'm excited to see Dark Elf. I'm just excited to see new factions playing in those like fighting for top again, because I feel like all of 10th has just been Eldar until CSM found a way to kill Eldar, and then it was just been CSM and Eldar.
Yeah. And it seems like more melee too, so hopefully less shooting. Because like that was the top of this edition, just shooting.
Well, CSM they got another nerf to their shooting.
Yeah.
So Forge Fiends, Obliterators got price increases, so you're not going to see nearly as much of that. The like meta CSM list is up over 200 points now.
Ooh. Okay.
I wasn't running that, so like I'm fine. But I think it's going to force CSM to become far more melee based, because that's the stuff that didn't go up.
How do you feel about the new transport rule?
I think it's fair.
Yes, yeah.
I think agree. Dark Obscuration is so powerful, and even like with the nerf, it's still powerful. Like being able to just like set a transport in the open for turn 1 and just being like, "Come at me, bro," is kind of nonsense. The 18 inches makes it a little more like, okay, maybe you have to like think about where you put it. But the 12 inches was like, it was too powerful, and then being able to just like have whatever you wanted inside of it, I think it makes more sense. Yeah, you know what else I think it does though? It makes Abaddon relevant again. Like I'm already like that Abaddon Land Raider combo, because you can keep the Land Raider Nurgle, because Abaddon has the mark of Nurgle, and some Terminators, and you put them in there and they're just a little friendly bus. So I think it brings Abaddon back into the conversation too.
Just a little Nurgle party bus.
Just a little Nurgle party bus with some very angry Abaddons inside. But yeah, I think that's an unneeded change, just because it never quite made sense, and it was one of those just like, oh, that must be how it works, and you're like, oh no, it isn't how it works. You can do whatever you want here, and you're like, wait, that seems unfair.
But I'm gonna do it anyways.
And I think the changes to demons also make CSM and Chaos Knights like actually have to play their factions better.
Oh.
Because you can't bring the Changeling anymore.
Can't piggyback off of us anymore.
Whoa. I didn't want the Changeling. Don't at me.
You did a Shalaxi.
I did do bring a greater demon alongside like CSM makes sense. Having some like random friggin' Changeling weird Tzeentch demon amongst your like world eaters. I guess you can do it with world eaters, but like I don't know, your CSM or your Chaos Knight list that just like it makes no sense. It like doesn't fit in with anything else. Like I don't know. Now Thousand Sons are gonna have to bring like some horrors with them, so they have to actually commit to bringing demons. I think that's a good change.
Yes, yeah. And no longer Scarbrand, Bloodthirster, Angron triple threat anymore.
Yeah. Well, you need to bring 2 squads of Bloodletters, and there's not enough room. So you can still do 1, you just can't do 2.
Unless they start thinking of getting those like Nurgling type Bloodletters into the army.
Don't they have the puppies? But the puppies they're not Battleline, are they?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's just Bloodletters. And they're still fairly expensive. They're like they're over 100 points. 120 points. So even though they came down, still not enough. Which one do you think they'll bring though? A Bloodthirster or Scarbrand?
Ooh. Bloodthirster, I think.
Yeah, the speed, I think.
Yeah. To hit hard.
Actually, talking about Shellaxi, you can't bring Shellaxi anymore. There's too many points. But the Keeper's Secrets came down. And Keeper's Secrets actually has really good synergy with Demonettes. So that could still be a fun little, like, 400 point bomb that you can throw at people. That could be a lot of fun.
Yes.
You
could even put a character with your Demonettes.
You would still have room, yeah. Like the Transweaver, which I have not seen, and I think it gives Demonettes fight first, which just seems like obnoxiously good, and no one's doing it, so yeah.
Could you do that and then do your Lucius so you'd have 2 units with fight first? You did not think about that?
Not immediately, no. You have to be like, oh yeah, who's holding that objective? Oh, Lucius and 10 Legionaries. Oh, that sounds unpleasant. Who's holding that objective? Yeah. Oh, a bunch of fight first Demonettes and a Keeper of Secrets. And you're like, what?
Okay, what was my first option?
Like, oh, and you play World Eater, so you have to go into combat? That sucks.
Come. Which dark alleyway do you want to go down?
Right. Well, how would you like to have your kidneys removed? Do you want it now or later?
Lots of attacks or like really powerful attacks?
Yeah, that's a nonsense combo there. Because I think Demonettes also benefit from being on objective, so you can do the same thing as you do with Lucius. Just stick them in the middle. And just be like, come at me, bro. But then they're also demons, so they have invuln saves. Ooh, Kaylee, I'm excited. Maybe I gotta get me some Demonettes.
Yep.
This is sounding tasty.
Do you have none?
Okay, I just bought so much Warhammer. Yes, I don't have any Demonettes.
Oh, okay. Well, if you ever need to borrow some, I think we have like 60 of them or something. I don't know.
Waves of demon. Oh, can you imagine if you still bring them in blobs of 20?
Used to be 30.
30 would be too many, but I think 20 would be way more fun than 10.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Ugh.
More ladies the better.
So much fun. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like the meta list for CSM got nerfed. It deserved to. Like, learn how to play the faction better if you're sad about it. Like,
why? Yeah, you were doing great with it. You were doing top tables with it.
Who picks CSM? Like, who out there, other than an Iron Warriors player, and even then, they weren't. You generally don't get it for like the type of list people were running. Who becomes a Chaos Space Marine player because they're like, hey, I want to play a shooting army and just hide in the back of the field and never interact with my opponent. Like, yeah. No, that's who you play Tau. Like,
yeah.
I think it forces Chaos Space Marine players to actually like play Chaos Space Marines.
Yay!
Because even Iron like Warriors have a little more like Terminators charging up the field. Like, yeah, there's some. So no. So yeah, Eldar CSM definitely got dethroned from the top. You know what? One thing I am surprised though, Chaos Knights got a across the board points decrease, and they were doing pretty well.
Even after the towering.
Yeah, like because they were more melee focused in the first place. They had the towering changes hadn't really nerfed them that much.
Right, yes.
And now they're even cheaper, which I find somewhat interesting. So we'll see where they end up. Imperial Knights still have not been resuscitated.
Good. Sorry, that's chaos all the way.
100%. And you know what? This is a thing. I put this both under good and bad. I like that they went through the rules commentary and added more clarity. It's nice. But why in this simplified but not simple rule set is it still needing to be like clarified? Like, why did we not start the edition with like a fairly clean rule set? Like, why is it taking so much to try and like sort out what's going on?
I don't know. Like, this is kind of the question I asked before we started recording. It's like I'd kind of like to know what the process is and what their thought process and timelines are. Like, when this data slate was thought of and then produced. Like, is it a 1 month thing, or is it an actual like 3 months? Do they test it? Do they make sure, or is it just all through written and playstyle? So, as for like the written rules, I don't know. I don't write rules. I don't know what they're doing. Does anyone know what unless they're doing it on purpose? Does anyone know what they're doing?
Well, I think this is why maybe the root of my complaint is like, it's nice that they're continuing to refine it, but also just like some of the refinement is also just like very obvious stuff once you get playing. Like, it doesn't, like, when 10th first came out, like we were running up against some of these rules commentary issues like almost immediately. And it's kind of like, how many people at Games Workshop are actually playing Warhammer on a regular basis with these rules to see like, okay, what actually happens when we make these changes? Or like, that didn't quite work the way I thought the rules were written for. Maybe I should add more like context. Like, I know the answer is they don't do enough playtesting, but it's just like, it would just be so much nicer if they did more playtesting.
Maybe they want to be famous for their poorly written rules.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, like they're the best at it. Like, how many other like games out there, even like board games, like the rules are just so complex and out of place where people just are just like baffled by it, but they still play it.
I mean, there's probably some things that come out of like Kickstarter, some of those weird board games. But even like, I don't know, there's like weird things in D&D sometimes, but there's like enough room for it, it doesn't matter. Whereas like Warhammer especially seems to just be notorious for like these weird interactions that the rules themselves create.
Yeah.
Where you're like well, actually, one of the clarifying points, I had run into this in a game. Like, is a battle shocked unit still battle shocked when they die?
Right.
Like, the rules as written are somewhat clear, but not clear enough. And it's just like all these little things where it's like, you know, they left room for interpretation, but then also there wasn't enough there to create like a spirit of the rules, if that makes any sense. And I think that's where Games Workshop is missing it, is that like underlying like, what do you think the intention is here and what's kind of the guiding motivation, that I think even like Magic the Gathering sometimes has weird bonkers like interactions, but judges for Magic the Gathering also have kind of a like process for evaluating those weird interactions that Games Workshop has just like been unwilling to generate for Warhammer. Like, there's no like spirit of the law. There's just like, here's the rules, deal with it.
Yeah, and then it's an interpretation by the TO themselves.
Yeah, and they're not given enough support to actually like work through it in the moment.
Yeah, that's very true. There should be more support, because I can only imagine maybe what if there was like a guideline for TOs, like FAQs and commonly asked questions that they could easily answer, instead of having this pressure of like, I'm gonna have to answer so many questions that I'm gonna have to answer on the fly. That's a lot of pressure to put onto someone.
And I think the first few months of 10th were rough for that. Like, shout out to tournament organizers for like, and judges for wading through this. And I think we're getting to a point of clarity, but just like, this is why I put it on. It's like, the clarity's good, but why have we needed so much of it to get to this point?
The clarity came through the work of the TOs and the people that actually played the game, instead of the company itself.
Which has just felt a little bit unfair. So yeah, some of the other potential rough spots. Necrons, I think, I get why they didn't have any changes. It's a brand new codex. It hasn't had time to kind of play itself out. But there's a lot of firepower in that codex, and I think every Necron player right now is just kind of like, ooh, I get to have a field day for the next 6
Got
months.
off scot-free. Let's go.
Right. Like, no changes? Really?
It's wow, because like didn't I was really hoping I wasn't gonna get any because that was gonna hurt. But that's kind of like going in with like, so what is the timeline of these data sites? Are they making this decision in October and then having it published and then proofread and stuff like that to have it come out now? Because like, look, Necrons dominated LVO. A little bit of a fluke, but they still won.
But like that's with a brand new codex. Like with more time, it's gonna get better.
Yes.
And I think on the other side of this is also AdMech got a new codex that didn't have the oomph, and they also didn't get any changes. So it's kind of like if you're a Necron player, you're like, hoo, more time to experiment. Whereas if you're an AdMech player, you're like, what?
Oh my god.
So it's a little bit of like, yeah, I know it needs time, but at the same time, it's kind of like, all right. There's again, the community's looking through this and like very quickly being like, oh, there's a lot of power here, or oh, there's not a lot of power here. And again, does there need to be a bigger playtesting group at Games Workshop to look at some of these codexes so they're coming out a little cleaner? Because like some of the combos Necrons can pull together are bananas.
But it's not even just like through the eyes of the rules. Like, look what they did with the new models. AdMech got one new model,
players.
And then Necrons. It's like showered with new models.
And I know AdMech's not a super popular faction, but like give them something to get people interested in them.
Right?
Weird stilt walker. Like, all those AdMech stands out there, I'm sorry.
Yeah. If we wrote the rules and made the AdMech codex, you guys would be happy. I think so. Like, yeah. But like, they should get. Is there even like an AdMech player at Games Workshop? Like,
what?
You think that one AdMech person be like,
guys,
yeah, start the meeting. We gotta talk.
like what are you doing? Why do you do this to me?
Yeah.
And it's like, I think the hard part is it's a similar position to Votann, where they're like a semi-elite army. Like AdMech is very similar to Guard in that they're vehicle heavy, but they're also an elite army. And I think Games Workshop has really struggled with it. Like Votann kind of sits in that. Tau has often found its way into there, even though Tau isn't an elite army. It's sometimes like with the battle suits ends up kind of straddling this position, and then that's usually when they screw it up. It's like if an army is like elite, they have an idea of what it's supposed to do, and if it's a horde army, they have an idea of what they're supposed to do. But as soon as they're blending it, like Tyranids often fall into that same spectrum where it's like you either have to go like super hordy because that's where all the rule support is, or you end up with just like just big monsters, and because that's where all the rules are. And yeah, AdMech just seemed to always kind of be on the wrong side of that, where like Skitarii are slightly better humans, but then also like they're supposed to have like super cool vehicles, and they can't seem to figure out where to put all that.
And then the only thing I really hear about AdMech is, oh, their rules are complicated. Well, you can kind of fix that with the rules. Like, you don't have to re-complicating them over and over and over again.
Well, and I think it's that like goal of making them flavorful so that they feel, because again, it's basically Guard in concept. It's like Guard but different. And I think they try so hard to make it feel different from Guard that they don't necessarily, it's never gotten its own identity.
So do they like give out orders and stuff?
No.
Okay.
But like as far as, I just mean conceptually, as far as like infantry with vehicle support and like big guns, big tanks, a lot of like, you know, even like their chicken walkers are very similar to sentinels. Like they have a lot of the same tools in their toolbox. But then to try and differentiate them, like Guard got orders, but then like AdMech, they've always kind of come up with like what are the litanies and things like that, like to try and give them some flavor, but then it's never quite like landed.
Mm-hmm.
At least since I've been playing. Maybe in 7th or 8th they were better, but through 9th and 10th they've seemed to just really like not work very well.
Don't know.
Yeah. Like I'm almost thinking like a Skitari should almost be like a 2-wound tough 3 model or something. Like it's almost like they need to kind of like, they're hard to kill, but they're not actually that hard to kill, if that makes any sense. It's like that's kind of the space that they're like having a hard time with. Like, yeah. And speaking about other factions that kind of got shafted, Sisters, I don't know, you weren't doing that well in the first place, and they took away like the one thing you had. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I played Sisters recently, actually, and yes, the Triumph of St. Catherine could be very potent, but at the same time, that was the thing that was making them potent. Like, there wasn't a lot of other oomph in the canon. Let's put it that way. So, yeah.
It's so hard to, like, sometimes when these data slates come out, you're like, okay, who is Games Workshop picking on today?
Right?
It's like seeing them just standing up against the wall. You just see Sisters, like, beat up. You deserve the ball next. And just, like, it's like a dodgeball game.
Well, I feel like it's like with 3 words, too. They were just like, oh, by the way, Sisters, boom across the face. You're just like, what?
What? Yeah.
They're like sitting like in the back 10 of like factions, and they're just like, what did I do? They're like, you might do better.
Yeah. Even Elder's like, that's harsh.
It's like, I think their codex is supposed to be fairly soon too, and it's just like, why did they just get like, the back alley shank for no reason? I have no idea.
Don't enjoy the next couple months.
Right. Hope you don't play any knight players going forward. Stab. Like, and yeah, I brought a Rampager against them, and yeah, they did 12 damage to it with their like wombo combo 4/6s, just like with a multi-melta. It was nasty. It was unpleasant. Don't know if they would have been able to kill it otherwise, though, because everything else was bouncing.
Mm-hmm.
And this person had 2 Castigators, which are the big tanks that they have, and it was just nothing. So, yeah. Ugh. So yeah, that's kind of the, like, I don't know. I think, to maybe summarize a little bit, I think there's a lot of good in this. I just feel like a few factions in particular just kind of got, like, a little bit screwed over for no apparent reason. Like, even World Eaters, I don't know what you guys did, because World Eaters have not been dominating, and they just got like run over by a freight train for some reason.
Yeah, maybe they just wanted to like see the World Eaters' passion and see them actually get angry like their god. Let's poke some bears.
Maybe it's someone at Games Workshop was like, wait, World Eaters are a chaos faction, right?
Yes, we hate chaos, right?
They're like, wait, they were doing okay? There was multiple chaos factions doing okay?
And they had to soup it with demons? Oh, we don't like that.
Yeah, I think World Eaters, they got hit on their own index and then also lost, like you said, the Scarbrand Bloodthirster combo.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't, and like they got points increases. Even the one of their more like highest survivability things was like the Demon Prince on foot gave the aura of 4-up invulns.
Yeah.
That's now 5-up invulns.
Ooh. Which,
you know, with a 3-up save and cover, there's not many things that are going to be hitting that 5-up that often. So I guess if you're shooting Khorne Berserkers with las cannons, you are going to benefit, but it just seems a little like, okay, have even less.
Yeah. Don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
No, clearly Angron got too mad at Games Workshop.
He didn't get mad enough.
Like, bring Angron in the office.
Not
just
enough
like,
skulls.
we need to talk about your quotas. You're not meeting neither your blood nor your skull quotas lately.
Yeah, you came in at 887. This will not do.
we gotta do something. We gotta make cuts. We gotta make cuts to your department.
Yep.
You're gonna have to do more with less going forward.
Remember when you were giving 150? And now you're 97? Just like the Incarn? We don't tolerate that. Yeah.
Trash. You're just trash.
Meanwhile, demons are down at 15%. Yeah. I just have to give 20%. They love me.
Right. I think demons are gonna
I think so too.
They're gonna do pretty well with these changes.
Ah. Yes.
Yeah. I think Nurgle Snurgle wins a GT is the
in the first quarter, and then they'll nerf me into the second quarter.
Because of you. They'll be like, because of Kaylee, Nurgle demons are now plus 1,000,000 points.
You couldn't even say 7 million.
No, just 1 million. The lamest number.
1.
But yeah, you know what? Overall, I think it's positive. How do you feel overall?
I feel pretty good. For my team.
I think, you know what? Even with there's definitely maybe some salty factions out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think overall though, this is going to be better. Like taking Eldar down and bringing CSM down a bit is going to let so much more air fill the room for everyone else that World Eaters and Sisters maybe got targeted for no reason, but I think so many other factions like Tau and Death Guard and Guard and even Admech and Votan, all those other factions that have been kind of sitting there at that mid to bottom of the meta are going to have a chance to really fight for the top. And I think Drukhari and Custodes are probably, I think Drukhari might actually be, they are going to have a pretty rapid ascent, but I think Custodes are going to be able to fight for that mid to top spot again. And you're going to actually, I think the big thing, what did I write down here? I think these changes are going to allow more room for skill expression over just data sheet beef.
Yeah.
You're going to have to play the game rather than just build lists that can't lose.
No, you're 100% correct on that.
I don't know if I have an answer to 3 great unclean ones that can make anything -3 toughness. It makes tough 12 really important.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna have to, anything that can stay above that strength 8 wall that Nurgle has, but even then you're not limited to Nurgle either. You can do that and then throw a Keeper of Secrets or something into something.
Be'lakor.
Even Blood Crushers are strength 7, I think.
Yeah, and the points came down anyway, so you might as well just pop them in your list.
But being able to take a Dreadnought down to tough 6 or even tough 7, so those Blood Crushers are wounding on 3s or 4s.
Yeah.
They become very viable, very viable targets.
There's definitely the combos definitely opened up in the Chaos Demon book for cards.
Yeah. And I think that's really where there's a lot of value in this change. The thing that, I talked about the good and the bad and the ugly earlier. The one ugly I have is no word on a new chapter approved.
Right.
I feel I don't know about you, but especially in tournaments, the secondary missions have been super used. And I feel it's a lot of the same few primary missions on top of that. So I feel I don't think it's stale yet, but I think it's becoming maybe a little staler than I thought it would this fast. And I don't know how they're going to shake it up, but maybe some word on what another season could look like would be nice.
Mm-hmm. Well, like last Dataslate, they kind of touched on the rules. This one, they kind of touched on the points. So maybe the next one will be more on the missions.
Because yeah, there's definitely a few missions that just like I also think a lot of factions struggle with. Like I played a game recently and it was primary targets, and like my army dies. I have a glass cannon army. I don't make it to the end of the game, and there's a lot of factions that don't.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of the few factions that are good at tabling their opponents, then just always win those missions. So.
Is that the one where the objectives disappear until there's one, and you get a massive amount?
No, primary targets is where you is it primary or priority? It's where you
priority.
Say you score like up to 3 objectives at the end of the game for up to 15 extra points. So you end up having these like 30-point turn 5s potentially. So if you've gotten to 70 points and died on turn 4, your opponent can still just be like, oh well, I score 38 points turn 5 and like completely change the game. Which is fine, but I think there's a lot of factions that struggle to make it to turn 5.
Yeah, so well, they'll just have to continue to struggle.
Keely likes to know that I'm struggling.
No, you just tell me that you're struggling. I don't ask. I'm struggling.
You know what? Actually, I want to get a game in with you now. I want to see the
you want to see my trial?
Just how much you're gonna have a lot on the table.
I know.
It's gonna be intimidating.
If only the Beast and Nurgle came down in points.
Beast and Nurgles are so good, though.
They should be like more than 3, though. 5. I'll take 5.
Again, talking about factions that like die, like 9 of them, or 6 of them, or 7 of them is just like too many for most factions to beat through.
You could have just ended at saying 7 of them, and yeah, I stopped listening.
Well, I got to 7 at the end. I figured out the 7 as
no, but I mean, like, you didn't have to say the rest of the sentence. Like, just 7 of them. Okay.
There just should be 7 of them.
Yeah.
There we go.
Did you not know that this podcast is an application to James Workshop?
You know what? All the Elder complaining I've done, I think they listen to me. So,
that Elder that hurt you is getting their jobs.
Right? I'm a little like, this could be fun. Honestly,
are you manipulating James Workshop with your voice?
You told me you have his email, so who's manipulating who now? No, I'm excited. I'm excited that you're excited to play some games, because I don't know. It's been a while since I've actually seen you be stoked.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been stoked. I still remember that day the Codex dropped, and I haven't been excited since.
That's fair. So no, I'm glad. This is what I'm saying. I think I'm glad to see some of the like play style emerge that have just been like dunked on by 10th. Like, this isn't even a Codex drop for you. This is just a data slate, and it's like opened up so many possibilities of like you can actually play Nurgle. Yeah,
Nurgle is 1 out of all the Chaos Gods.
Yeah. So. You know what? Slanesh did okay. Did okay.
Yeah.
There's some room for some demons. Oh no, Nurgle 100% took the W. Like I said, like Nurgle demons went from being like very difficult and probably not viable to like having play. That's awesome.
So let's like, see more of them on the table. I want to see a Nurgle demons win some tournaments out there. That would be awesome.
Or even just Chaos Demon lists start including Nurgle.
Yeah.
Because right now you don't see, other than Nurglings, there is no Nurgle.
Yeah. Like,
and like now you're kind of like, oh, a Great Unclean One with a Bloodthirster starts making a bit of sense, or two of them to like, you know, take out those big targets, or like, you know, it allows you to actually like use the rest of the codex more, or index, I guess. Because it's like, okay, a squad of Bloodletters can't do a ton against like tough 9, but they can do a lot against tough 7.
That's what I mean. Like, there's just gonna be a lot more combos that can be thought of and looked at.
It's exciting.
So you ready?
Any final?
Great and Clean Ones, Blood Crushers, Plague Bearers.
Honestly, if I don't have to just go against Eldar, like that is full of nonsense, I will be like, I would rather lose against a bunch of different factions than just have to beat my face against Eldar for another tournament.
Right.
Like, even like, give me different, like, if I'm gonna lose to some faction, I'd rather lose to a bunch of different factions. Because that's
or
at least like,
cooler
okay.
faction. No, I'm just
Well, let's be honest. Sorry, Eldar players. But it's just like, give me some variety, give me some spice.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't need to win every game, but I want to enjoy more of my games. And I'm just like, the Eldar game has not been fun for a long time.
Right.
Whereas, like, give me some demons that are just like absolutely popping off. Give me some like
and different play style too, because like, I'm sure you went to the table all the time going up against Eldar. I'd be like, oh, well, here we go. I know exactly what's going to happen. Whereas you're going to maybe hopefully see some other factions, even like orcs who haven't been touched, and like Tau and stuff. And just to be like, oh, I wonder how this is going to go. And just that wondering that's the fun part.
Actually, weirdly, Tau Crisis Suits got nerfed, but Riptides got a points decrease, so now it's cheaper to take a Riptide than 3 Crisis Suits, which feels very weird. Maybe it's the return of Triptide.
Yes.
See more of that. And yeah. Any last thoughts?
I was gonna ask you first.
My last thoughts? You know what? I'm just actually, it makes me a little more excited to play games. I think I had talked to a few people about this, but like 40k was starting to get a little stale. Like, I was definitely getting a lot of my Warhammer love from like hobbying and the old world, and this makes me a little more excited to go to an event and actually just like see what happens, because I feel like a lot of events had stopped being about finding out what you could do and finding out what happens. It was getting a little too formulaic. So yeah, I'm excited.
I have to 100% agree with that. Like, there was actually a little ping in my thought that I was just like, oh, I don't know where Warhammer's kind of going. I'm not quite enjoying it at the moment. I'm just gonna take a back seat and just kind of wait it out from the games, because we love tournaments. We love like going to tournaments and seeing other people and seeing other factions and seeing different games, and the way things were kind of going, just like, oh, here's Eldar. Oh, okay, well, good thing I don't have to play them, because I'm never going to be top table again. So.
And this is what, like, I think, you know, you've been on that winner's path before, and I think this opens us up that you could play both a list you want to play and still conceivably end up on that path and go 4-1 or 5-0 at a tournament, and
imagine.
But also be able to do it the way you want to do it. And I think that's the thing. Like, I have maybe not gone 5-0 at a tournament, but I've always brought a list that I like, and it is not the list, it's the list I wanted to play. And I think the more of that this game has, the more vibrant it is.
I'm waiting for an opponent that doesn't really know who I am or the army that I play to see me show up with triple Great Unclean Ones to call me a meta chaser.
No. Really? You have to whip out one of your business cards and be like, it's literally Nurgle. Like,
yeah, I've loved these for 5 years.
You're like, I didn't chase the meta, I made the meta.
Yeah, I emailed for the meta.
Do you not know who I am? I am Nurgle the Snurgle.
Yeah. The Snurgle rhymes with Nurgle.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to see
Yeah.
some more different stuff on the table, and
Yeah.
I'm excited to see Nerd. I legitimately think there's definitely demon players out there that are like, maybe some Nurgle in my list.
Their little demons, blowing the dust off.
It's a great unclean one that's just covered in dust because it's been a long year. Hello, old friend.
Could I come and play now? Yes, little big one, you can.
You've been very patient.
Elder's now gone. You can come out and play.
You can no longer die to just 5 devastating wounds.
And your weapon now comes into play. Your strength 8.
Well, even the changes of Night Spinners, now you don't have to worry about it only moving like 4 inches.
Yeah.
Which, for a Great Unclean One, is just rotating its base.
Yeah. Just turning around.
Yeah. Like, you don't have to worry about it, like, not being able to move at all. You can be like, oh, I can actually, like, get it going. So yeah, I think it's good. And on that note, I want to thank you for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to Chaos Divided wherever you're listening from, and you can find us on Instagram and YouTube at Chaos Divided 40k. If you're a fan of what we're doing and want to join our growing Wholesome Hammer community, you can find us at patreon.com/Chaos Divided 40k and also support the show. And if you'd like to connect with us directly, it's at Nurgle_Snurgle and at Blushing Noise Marine on Instagram and YouTube. And until next time, bye-bye.
Ciao for now.